Nehru to Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Arun Jaitley, Nitin Gadkari, and from Harold Macmillan to Margaret Thatcher, Boris Johnson, and Rishi Sunak. So we are very pleased that Mr. Gandhi has agreed to give us some time. He is, of course, from the Indian National Congress, and I'm sure most of us here know that the Indian National Congress is the oldest political party in India, devotedly worked for the freedom struggle, laid the foundation for a free and modern India. For much of the 75 years since, the party has been in power, but I guess now the party and the leaders are discovering that even if they are not in power, they are still constantly under the media glare. And the latest breaking news seems to be Rahul Gandhi's trimmed new look. But no, that's not what we are going to discuss here rather. We don't want to know, Mr. Gandhi, what you wear, what you eat, or rather what you don't eat. And there's a reason for that. The success of any democracy depends not just on the ruling regime, but also the vibrancy of the opposition parties. And we will use this opportunity to have a wide-ranging and serious discussions from politics to public and from perception to performance. So without much ado, Mr. Gandhi, again, thank you very much. I'd like to begin from the...
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. This is the second time I'm coming here, and the last time I came, I had quite an enjoyable experience. So I look forward to the same again.
Thank you. We hope to continue to invite you. I'd like to begin, Mr. Gandhi, from Bharat Jodo Yatra. That seems to be a leaf taken out from Mahatma Gandhi's book, and it reminded so many of us about the several journeys that Gandhiji took during the British Raj. And of course, his yatra was a Bharat Chodo mission to drive the British away, to end the British Raj, in which we, of course, eventually succeeded. What is it that Rahul Gandhi seeks to achieve with this Bharat Jodo Yatra?
Well, the idea of a yatra, of course, Gandhiji's is the most remembered and most effective yatra in recent memory. But the idea of a yatra is a much older idea in India. And it's been almost in the DNA of our country. This idea of walking across the country and doing so, suffering a little bit of pain, and doing it over a long distance of time. If you read about even people like Guru Nanak Ji, even Buddha, Mahavir, large numbers of really great Indian people have walked across the country. And the idea is discovering the country, listening to the voice of the country, but also understanding yourself, introspecting, doing something that is a little difficult, painful. So it's part of it, and it's embedded in our historical tradition. BJP also had a yatra, if you recall. That was a Rath Yatra. And there's a philosophical difference between these two yatras. And it sort of hits at the ideological difference between us and the BJP, at the contest of ideas that are taking place. If you remember, the Rath Yatra had a Rath in the middle. It was followed by lots of other cars. But there was a central Rath in the middle of the yatra. Rath, of course, is a symbol of a king. And that was completely missing in our yatra, right? Our yatra was a mobilization of people, but a equal mobilization of people. So there was no Rath, there was no talking down to people. It was a it was an embracing of people, and it was both an expression of the Indian people's voice and the Congress party and the people who were walking listening to that voice. And the reason it became necessary is because the structures of our democracy are under brutal attack. The media, the institutional frameworks, judiciary, parliament, these are all under attack. And we were finding it very difficult to put the voice, our own voice, and also the voice of the people through the normal channels. Normally the media would pick up these issues, but the media doesn't pick up these issues, and it's a tragedy in India. I mean, I'll give you an example. The three things that I heard, and universally from young people across the board: unemployment, price rise, concentration of wealth, violence against women. None of these are in the media. Right? So this is why we were required to do it. And what did it achieve? Maybe beyond even my expectation. What did it achieve? It placed an alternative vision of India on the table. Right? A decentralized vision, a non-violent, peaceful, affectionate vision, a vision where everybody is carried together.
And I heard you say earlier that the yatra, the journey, was an opportunity to shut yourself down so that you can listen to others. Was there anything profound that you heard? I mean, how different is Rahul Gandhi today than the one prior to the yatra started?
I mean, the media loves to sort of keep saying that there's change taking place in Rahul Gandhi, which I think is a good thing. But this is part of a journey, right? And every individual has an evolution based on what they do, right? The yatra almost required silence, right? It required, I was saying in the lecture in Cambridge, at the starting point, I began by saying, by giving my perspective to people. So when a farmer would come to me or somebody would come to me, I'd give my perspective and say, this is what I think. But soon I realized that there were too many people. And, it was no use me giving my perspective. Because there were thousands and thousands of people coming. So I said, look, much more sensible is to just keep quiet. I had a little pain in the knee, so that was also disturbing me. So I just went silent. And if you want to ask, the biggest change I noticed in myself was the capacity for patience. It's completely different than when I started. So just this perseverance, this long walk, listening to people, sort of continuous pain, has, at least in that sense, I listen quietly. I don't sort of try to put my 2 words in. I think it's a very powerful thing.
It is a powerful thing indeed. But coming back to something which I'm sure a lot of people here are very interested and eager, and I'm referring to this recent BBC documentary, which has garnered huge controversy. And, one dominant narrative that has come out from New Delhi is that this is in some ways reflective of the colonial hangover, that Britain is still trying to meddle into India affairs, not something that any sovereign country really likes to find themselves into or to be a target of. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's sort of similar to Mr. Adani. It's also a colonial hangover. Every place where there is opposition, there's an excuse. You asked why we did the yatra, what was the idea behind the yatra? The idea behind the yatra was an expression of voice, right? And there is suppression of voice across the country. Suppression of voice, example is the BBC. But BBC is just one element of it, right? You found out, well, the BBC has found out about it now, but it's been going on in India for the last 9 years, right? Non-stop. Everybody knows that. Journalists are intimidated, they're attacked, they're threatened, and the journalists who toe the line of the government are rewarded. Right? So it's a part of a pattern, and I wouldn't expect anything different. But if the BBC stops writing against the government, everything will go back to normal. All the cases will disappear. Everything will go back to normal. Right? So this is the new idea of India. The BJP wants India to be silent, right? And they want it to be quiet. They want the Dalits, the lower castes, the Adivasis, the media. They want silence. And they want silence because they want to be able to take what is India's and give it to their close friends. So that's basically the idea, right? Distract the population and then hand over India's wealth to 3, 4, 5 people. I mean, we've seen this before also.
But that's not something that has just come out in the last 9 years. It's not something which is new. There is a historicity to anything. So
no, what is
in a sense, can we say that it's something which has just started?
No, what is something that
silencing the media?
Absolutely. I mean, it has never ever been done at the scale that it's being done. There were periods when there were aberrations, but this is full-scale attack on the institutional structure. This has never been seen in modern India before. It's completely different.
I mean, politics is also a lot about perception, but people also expect performance in a sense that there has to be some tangible changes as well. Looking forward in 2024, what do you think will be more important? Perception or performance or both? And how does Congress...
I think things are not black and white, perception or performance. Are you asking about how the election is going to play out? There's a lot of anger against the BJP. In the Bharat Jodo Yatra, there's an undercurrent of anger. You don't hear about it in the media. It's almost, that was one of the most shocking things to me, which was that the narrative that is being peddled in the national media is just absolutely wrong. It's a lie, right? So throughout the walk, what I heard, unemployment, concentration of wealth, meaning Mr. Adani, joblessness, small and medium businesses being destroyed by ideas like demonetization and a flawed GST, massive amount of money going to large businesses, nothing going to small and medium. This is what I was hearing, right? And then we sort of have this simplification that, is it going to be performance, or what is the other word?
Perception.
Or perception. Look, there's an undercurrent, there's a media blanket. So the election is going to be fought on these issues, the 3 or 4 main issues that are there on the ground. And I think what is also central to it is how the opposition is able to fight together. And then you have individual states that work differently. But I think if we are able to coalesce the opposition with a different idea than that of the BJP, we do very well in the election.
But it seems that, the political ascendancy of the BJP, or rather, the position that they have reached as a single largest party, that doesn't seem to be a factor in uniting the opposition parties. There are regional differences, there are leaders of all hues and cries. They don't necessarily sit together. And Congress being the leading opposition party, what role do you see for yourself? And of course, I'm talking about the 2024 election, which is on the anvil. How does it all play out? Because, the opposition parties are still what they are doing. I mean, we have Bengal, Maharashtra.
I think there's a lot of coordination that goes on with the opposition parties. I think there are conversations going on between the opposition parties. I'm aware of many of them. And I think the basic idea that the RSS and the BJP needs to be fought and needs to be defeated is deeply entrenched in the minds of the opposition. There's no question of that. There are tactical issues that require discussion. Some states, they're very simple. Other states, they're slightly more complicated. But the opposition is very much capable of having this discussion and resolving it. We are also, it's important to understand, and particularly for the foreigners here, that the opposition in India is no longer fighting a political party. Right? This is something that you say BJP, well, that's not who we are fighting. Right? We are fighting the institutional structure of India now. Right? We are fighting the BJP and the RSS, which has captured almost all India's institutions. Right? So the idea of a level playing field doesn't exist. Right? In the United Kingdom, two parties fight each other, and the institutions are neutral. That's gone in India. Right? Institutions are not neutral. We are fighting the institutions and the RSS